In the dead silence of the outer rims, the night was shattered by the shriek of burning metal tearing through the atmosphere. A small craft, its hull glowing from the heat of re-entry, descended rapidly towards the planet's surface. It was a desolate world, untouched by the Federation's miners and barely charted on star maps. As the craft crashed into the barren, rocky landscape, a cloud of dust rose like a mournful specter under the pale light of the twin moons. Miles away, hidden in the shadows of an ancient crag, a human figure watched the sky with a weary intensity. Sergeant Jack Rivers, a veteran of interstellar conflicts, was stranded on this forgotten planet. His mission had gone awry, leaving him marooned without a hope of immediate rescue. The crashing ship caught his attention, not just as a potential salvage opportunity, but as a rare sign of other life in the galaxy's neglected corners. Jack approached the crash site cautiously, his rifle at the ready. As he neared the wreckage, his tactical training took over. Smoke and the smell of charred electronics filled the air, but it was the subtle movement inside the wreckage that sharpened his focus. Something, or someone, was alive in there. Carefully, he climbed over the twisted metal, his eyes scanning for threats. Inside, he found a figure slumped against the control console. It was a woman, or at least her form resembled a human woman, but her skin shimmered with an iridescent quality that betrayed her alien origin. Her clothes were torn, revealing cuts and burns that seemed to emit a faint phosphorescent glow. Jack checked her vital signs, noting her shallow breathing. "Hey, you're going to be okay," he murmured, more to reassure himself than her. He gently lifted her from the wreckage, surprised by her lightness, as if gravity held a different claim on her. As he carried her back to his makeshift camp, her eyelids fluttered open, revealing eyes like molten silver, reflecting a universe of sorrow. She spoke, her voice a melody of strange, haunting tones. "Please, help me. I've got you," Jack replied, his voice steady despite the bewilderment he felt. At his camp, he set her down on his only cot and began treating her wounds with his limited medical supplies. The alien princess, because who else could she be but royalty with such an ethereal presence, watched him, her gaze piercing yet vulnerable. "Who are you?" she finally asked, her accent thick with an unplaceable lilt. "Name's Jack. Jack Rivers. And you are?" She hesitated, pain flickering across her features. "I am Celara of the House of Light, from the planet Seraphine. I am fleeing." Jack nodded, accepting her words without question. The galaxy was rife with tales of political intrigue and royal exiles. "You're safe here, Celara, at least for now." Celara's lips curved into a weary smile. "Thank you, Jack Rivers. I fear I bring trouble to your doorstep." As night deepened, Jack watched over Celara, pondering the cosmic twist of fate that had thrown them together. He had no way of knowing the events that were about to unfold, that this alien princess's troubles were only just beginning, and they would challenge every belief he held dear. Celara's condition stabilized, but her spirit seemed as fragmented as the wreckage from which she'd been rescued. Under the twin moons, her silhouette often merged with the silver light, as if she belonged to the stars rather than the rocky expanse of the planet. One evening, as the violet sun dipped below the horizon, she shared more of her past with Jack. "Seraphine was usurped by my own kin," she whispered, her voice a blend of fear and defiance. "My sister, driven by a darkness she embraced from beyond our stars, cast me out to die here." Jack listened, his expression unreadable in the dim light. "And they think you perished in the crash?" She nodded. "That was her plan. But as long as I draw breath, there is hope for my people." Their conversation was cut short by a disturbance outside, a scraping noise, stealthy and deliberate. Jack grabbed his rifle and motioned for Celara to stay put. He slipped out of the shelter, his eyes scanning the darkness. The planet wasn't just a barren wasteland. It hid creatures adapted to its harshness, creatures they were yet to encounter. The noise intensified, closer now. Jack crouched behind a rock, his heart pounding. A shadow moved, large and imposing, not a creature of flesh and bone but metallic, engineered. As it stepped into the moonlight, Its features became clear. A drone, but unlike any Federation model Jack had seen before. "Identify yourself," Jack commanded, his rifle aimed at the drone. The drone paused, its sensors flickering as if puzzled. "Directive, retrieve the exile Celara. Return for reconditioning," it responded in a synthesized voice. Jack's mind raced. This was no random wanderer. It was a sentinel sent by Celara's sister. The implications were clear. They had been found, and more would follow. He fired, the shot echoing across the silent plains. The drone staggered but didn't fall. It adapted quickly, its own weaponry coming to life. Jack ducked as a beam of energy sizzled past him, charring the rock where his head had been seconds before. Back in the shelter, Celara wasn't about to stay hidden while Jack fought her battles. She emerged, her hands glowing with a luminescent power. She stretched out her arms and a surge of light burst from her palms, striking the drone. It wobbled under the dual assault, then collapsed into a heap of smoking metal. Breathing heavily, Jack looked at Celara with newfound respect. "Seems you can handle yourself just fine," he said, half joking. Celara smiled faintly, but her eyes were troubled. "This was just a scout. More will come, and they won't stop until they've captured me, or worse." "We need to move," Jack decided. "If they tracked you here, they'll send more after that drone doesn't report back." Together, they prepared to leave the safety of the makeshift camp. Jack thought of the shuttle he'd seen in an overgrown hangar during his first days on the planet. A possible escape, but it would need work. Lots of it. As they set off under the cloak of darkness, Celara stayed close. The landscape rolled endlessly under the celestial dance of the moons and stars, a stark reminder of the isolation that surrounded them. Yet in their shared silence a bond formed, forged in the crucible of survival against the cosmic dark. Jack led Celara through the treacherous terrain, his mind racing to calculate every possible angle of escape. The barren planet revealed little shelter from prying eyes or technological scans, a perfect trap for anyone trying to remain hidden. As they advanced, Celara's gaze was often drawn upwards to the stars, her expression a mix of wonder and melancholy. "Up there, my sister solidifies her grip on our world with the aid of those who lurk in the shadowed corridors of the galaxy," she confided, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack's response was a nod, his thoughts on the more immediate problem of the shuttle. "We'll need to repair the shuttle quickly," he said, adjusting his pack. "And hope your sister doesn't have a lock on its signature." The hangar was nestled within an overgrown canyon, hidden by years of neglect and natural camouflage. As they approached, Jack surveyed the area with a cautious eye. The shuttle was an older model, angular and robust, designed for deep space runs. It would serve them well, assuming they could get it operational. Inside the hangar, the air was cool and musty, thick with the scent of oil and old metal. Celara's fingers traced the hull of the shuttle, her touch gentle, almost reverent. "It's been a long time since I've felt hope like this," she admitted. Jack opened the maintenance panel, his hands skilled and efficient as he assessed the condition. "It's not too bad," he announced. "Fuel cells are depleted and the navigation module needs replacing. But it's doable." They worked together, Jack handling the technical repairs while Celara provided her own unique energy to power up the systems temporarily. Her ability to manipulate energy was something Jack had never seen, a reminder of the vastness of the universe's mysteries. As the days slipped by, they fell into a routine, each movement between them a step in a delicate dance of mutual dependence and growing trust. Jack taught Celara how to solder wires and seal hydraulic lines, while she taught him the basics of her language and her people's history. One night as they sat outside the hangar watching the stars, a silent alarm on Jack's makeshift sensor grid flickered. He stiffened, immediately on alert. "We've got company," he muttered, grabbing his rifle. Celara stood swiftly, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Not just any company," she said, her voice tense. "That's a Seraphine Royal cruiser. My sister sent her elite guards." The craft descended with a menacing grace, landing a short distance from the hangar. Armed figures disembarked, spreading out with military precision. Jack checked his weapon, his resolve hardening. "We can't fight them head-on," he said. "We'll have to outsmart them." Celara nodded, her expression determined. "There's a way," she replied, her plan forming swiftly. "If we can lure them into the canyon, I can cause a landslide with my powers. It might give us enough time to escape." The plan was risky, but they had few options. Leading the guards on a chase into the narrowing canyon, Jack and Celara worked in perfect sync, their movements driven by desperation and a fierce desire for freedom. As they reached the targeted spot, Celara turned, her hands glowing brightly. With a cry that echoed off the canyon walls, she unleashed her power. The ground shook violently, rocks cascading down in a thunderous avalanche. Behind the cover of debris, Jack and Celara sprinted back to the shuttle. Adrenaline surged as they fired up the engines, the shuttle's doors sealing just as the sound of blasters echoed outside. With a powerful thrust, the shuttle lifted off, leaving the royal guards buried in their own trap. As they ascended into the starry expanse, Jack glanced at Celara, her profile bathed in the glow of newfound freedom. Together, they set their course, the vastness of space their only witness. As the shuttle streaked through the cosmos, Jack and Celara could only watch as the stars blurred into lines of light. The cabin was silent, save for the hum of the engines and the occasional beep from the console, reminding them of the precariousness of their escape. Celara sat at the navigation system, her fingers dancing across the holographic displays. "We're heading towards the neutral zone," she informed Jack, her voice steady despite the uncertainty. "It's a sector unclaimed by any major power, a place where we might find refuge or at least allies." Jack nodded, keeping his eyes on the sensors. The risk of being tracked was high, and every ping on the radar made him tense. "We'll need more than luck to shake off any pursuit. Your sister isn't going to give up easily." Celara's expression darkened. "No, she won't. Her ambition is matched only by her ruthlessness." Her gaze shifted to the star map, plotting a course that would take them through asteroid fields and nebulous clusters, natural phenomena that could help mask their trail. Their journey was a silent one, each lost in their thoughts until a signal interrupted the quiet. A distress beacon, faint but unmistakable. Jack looked at Celara, questioning. "It could be a trap," he cautioned. "Or someone in genuine need," Celara countered, her instincts as a once-future ruler coming to the fore. "We can't ignore it, Jack. Not if there's a chance to help." With a reluctant nod, Jack altered their course slightly, approaching the source of the beacon with caution. The signal led them to a small, battered ship adrift among the debris of a recent skirmish. Its hull bore the marks of a pirate encounter. They docked with the vessel, and Jack led the way, weapon ready. Inside, they found a scene of chaos. Panels ripped open, supplies scattered. In the cockpit, a lone figure slumped over the controls. Celara rushed forward, her medical training taking over as she checked for signs of life. The pilot was alive, just barely. An alien of a species Jack didn't recognize. With Celara's help, they transported the wounded pilot back to their shuttle. As the pilot regained consciousness, gratitude filled his eyes. He introduced himself as Miko, a trader who'd been ambushed by pirates known to roam the sector. "I was transporting medical supplies to the outer colonies," he explained, his voice weak but filled with resolve. Jack and Celara exchanged a look. Medical supplies were valuable, and helping Miko could establish a crucial alliance. "We'll get you to your destination," Jack decided. "It's on our way, and you need the support." With Miko's guidance, they navigated to the outer colonies, a loose network of settlements on the edge of federated space. The colonies were a haven for those who sought to live beyond the reach of the major powers, and they welcomed Jack, Celara, and Miko with open arms. The delivery of medical supplies earned them goodwill and the colonists' assistance. Jack and Celara were given access to resources, information, and a place to lay low. Miko, recovering from his ordeal, proved to be a wealth of knowledge about navigating the less savory parts of the galaxy. As they settled into a semblance of safety, Celara turned to Jack one evening, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "We have made allies here, perhaps even friends," she observed. "But we must be vigilant. My sister's reach is long and we are still within her grasp." Jack agreed, his thoughts mirroring hers. They were safe for now, but the galaxy was vast, and their troubles were far from over. In the relative safety of the outer colonies, Jack and Celara took time to strengthen their defenses and plan their next moves. The colonies, a patchwork of independent worlds, provided a unique opportunity to blend in without drawing attention from Celara's sister, or the entities that sought to enforce her malicious will across the stars. Jack found himself in the markets often, trading information and securing parts that could enhance their shuttle's stealth capabilities. The whispers of traders and pirates alike painted a vivid picture of the galaxy's undercurrents. It was in one such exchange that he learned of a potential ally, an exiled engineer named Torin, who was rumored to possess knowledge of ancient technologies lost to most modern civilizations. Meanwhile, Celara focused on forming bonds with the colony leaders. Her royal demeanor, coupled with her genuine desire to aid their communities, won her both respect and a measure of influence. Through these efforts, they heard rumors of a hidden archive on a nearby moon, an archive that might contain secrets valuable enough to barter for protection or even strike back at her sister. One evening, as the twin suns of the colony world dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the settlement, Celara and Jack met with Torin in a dimly lit tavern. The engineer, a grizzled old humanoid with keen eyes, listened intently as they outlined their plight. "Your sister has aligned herself with some of the darkest forces in the galaxy," Torin mused after hearing their story. "But the archives you speak of could hold key technologies. I can help you get there, but it won't be without its dangers." Together, they devised a plan to infiltrate the moon's archive. The journey required navigating through a sector known for its intense asteroid activity and patrolling pirate drones. Torin suggested using an old smuggler's route, which, though perilous, offered the best chance of reaching their destination unnoticed. The following day, with Torin's guidance, they piloted their upgraded shuttle toward the hidden archive. As they maneuvered through the asteroid field, the tension inside the cockpit was palpable. Celara monitored the sensors, calling out directions, while Jack piloted with a precision born of necessity. The asteroid served as both a hazard and a cover, keeping them hidden from any prying eyes or scanners. Upon reaching the moon, they landed in a secluded crater. The entrance to the archive was cleverly disguised amidst the rocky terrain. Torin led the way, his device emitting a low-frequency pulse that revealed the hidden door. Inside, the archive was a trove of knowledge and technology, filled with data stacks and ancient machines. Celara's eyes lit up with a mix of awe and determination as they explored the cavernous space. Torin set up his portable devices to download critical data, while Jack and Celara searched for anything that could be used against her sister. Their search uncovered a series of holographic logs detailing experimental technologies developed in the last days of an ancient empire. Among these was a device capable of cloaking a planet's entire energy signature, making it invisible to conventional sensors. As they prepared to leave with the downloaded data secured in Torin's devices, the unmistakable sound of engines echoed through the moon's thin atmosphere. They weren't alone. Jack peered out to see a squadron of drones descending towards their location, no doubt alerted by their activities. The trio quickly set a defensive perimeter. Celara, tapping into her newfound knowledge from the archive, modified one of the ancient devices to emit a massive EMP pulse. As the drones approached, she activated the device, sending out a wave that disabled the drones mid-flight, causing them to crash into the barren landscape. With the immediate threat neutralized, they made their way back to the shuttle. As they lifted off, Jack couldn't help but feel a surge of triumph. With the data and technologies they had secured, they now had more than just hope. They had the means to fight back. Back in the sanctuary of the outer colonies, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation and the weight of impending action. With the data and technologies they had secured from the archive, Jack, Celara, and Torin were not just fugitives. They were catalysts for change, potential architects of a revolution that could upend the dark reign of Celara's sister. In the seclusion of their temporary headquarters, the trio worked tirelessly. Torin, with his deep knowledge of ancient engineering, took the lead in integrating the cloaking technology with their shuttle, transforming it into a vessel that could evade even the most sophisticated sensors. Meanwhile, Jack fortified their defenses, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Celara's role transcended the technical. She was the symbol, the beacon that rallied support. Her stories of oppression under her sister's rule and her vision for a freer, fairer Seraphine resonated with many. Leaders from various colonies, once skeptical, began to pledge their support, moved by her courage and her clear, unwavering voice of hope. As their preparations neared completion, an encrypted transmission broke through their secure channels. It was from Seraphine, a direct message from her sister, Queen Celara. Her tone was icy, her words laced with venom. "Return what you have stolen, little sister, or watch as I grind these pitiful colonies to dust." Celara responded not with words, but with action. She broadcasted a message across multiple channels, revealing the true nature of Celara's regime, supported by the evidence they had gathered. The galaxy watched as the facade of the tyrannical queen began to crumble, her allies wavering as the tide of public opinion turned. The final phase of their plan was the most daring. Using the cloaked shuttle, Jack, Celara, and Torin made their way back to Seraphine. Their goal was clear: infiltrate the palace and confront Celara, bringing an end to her tyrannical rule from the inside. Navigating the upper atmosphere of Seraphine, the shuttle, now invisible to radars, descended silently. They landed in a secluded area of the royal estate, where the lush gardens provided cover. The trio disembarked, each step towards the palace heavy with the gravity of what was to come. Inside they encountered minimal resistance, as many of the royal guards had shifted their allegiance to Celara, swayed by her rightful claim and the exposure of Celara's atrocities. They reached the throne room unchallenged, where Celara awaited, her expression a mask of disdain. "What are you doing, Celara? This is madness," Celara sneered, her gaze flickering over to the others. "No, sister. This is justice," Celara replied, her voice steady. "Your reign of fear ends today." The confrontation was brief. As Celara and Celara faced off, Jack and Torin intercepted the loyalist guards. The skirmish was tense, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The evidence of Celara's tyranny, combined with Celara's legitimate claim and the support of the people, tipped the scales. Queen Celara was arrested, her power stripped away as the truth of her deeds became undeniable. Seraphine was set on a new path, one of healing and hope, led by Celara, who was now hailed not just as a queen, but as a liberator. In the aftermath, Jack and Torin were offered positions of high regard within the new government, but Jack declined. His place was among the stars, he felt, ready to aid other worlds in need, a soldier turned guardian. Celara's coronation was a spectacle of unity and celebration, a stark contrast to the dark days of Celara's rule. She stood before her people not just as their ruler, but as their equal, their champion. As the new era dawned on Seraphine, Jack watched from his shuttle, a small smile playing on his lips. The galaxy was vast, and his journey was far from over. But for now, he could leave knowing that one small corner of it was brighter, thanks to their efforts, their struggles, and ultimately, their triumph.